Hello everyone, Zenreal Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and I had a lot of comments for me to go over some of the deck profiles for some of the topping deck lists from the pie chart video that I recently did. If you have not seen that video yet, I will leave a description or a link in the description, or try to post one of those little link things right here for you guys to go check it out. But be sure to go check that video out first, get the rundown on all the topping deck lists if that's something that you're interested in. I do a lot of that on this channel. It's definitely one of the main videos that I do that I know that the community loves to see, and if you're interested in that, this is definitely a channel for you. But in this video, we are going to check up on some of the deck lists from a lot of these tournaments recently. Now, I did just go back only to 7-1. I didn't want to go too far down the landscape of the game. I think the last 27 days is a good enough time to go through and get all one or two topping deck lists from each of the tournaments that have recently taken place online. If you don't know about this yet, please go and post your locals in the exburst.dev site. It's very easy to do. You just click post tournament results. It'll ask you a couple little things, and please upload those deck lists because then that helps me be able to go over this. I think there were a couple lists that did not have a deck list attached to it, but let's get into it. So I do want to touch on these two decks here. These are two of the Purple Kogias decks that did get tops in recent tournaments, and they are very different lists. This one is more focused on, it says 2 AP. It doesn't tell me the name of the creator here on these, a little unfortunate. So I won't be able to shout anyone out, I don't think, if it doesn't tell me that. But they called it 2 AP, and very interesting because looking through the list here, we don't really see that many 2 APs, right? It's just 2 copies of this Lelouch Lamperouge here, which is pretty normal for most lists. So to not see the other 2 AP here is a little interesting. But just running a low count of the 0 cost, I do see a lot of these decks be very greedy with this. And I think that this has to do with the reason a lot of these decks aren't making it through so many tournaments, because a lot of lists really are very greedy, and I do think that this is a semi-greedy list. Running 3 of the C2s and then only 3 of the Callan for the 0 drop, I think that makes it where your plays are a little more volatile, and you may not get quite to that double energy line where you need to stay at 5. So I'm not crazy about this particular list here, but everything else seems pretty normal and generic too, right? Like 4 of the color trigger Callan. This is such an important card during the game. Just to be able to have these 4 color triggers. The 2000 BP for a 1-drop is very relevant, and she ends up being a 3000 DP during your turn. So this is how you get a lot of early pressure in. Now they are running 3 of the 2 1-drop when played. Something loses 1000, which is really, really good. 2 of the C2s that draw a card. 4 of the Searcher Callan, and I know that this is a pretty... I love the art by this, by the way. I love Callan. She is amazing, beautiful, and really cool character in the show, and amazing card. But a lot of people don't run this card at a 4 of. So one hot take from this is probably the count on the zeros, and then only being up to 4 of this Searcher. It is obviously a draw trigger in life, which is great to be able to help you fix your hand. But the reason a lot of people don't like this one is because it looks at the top 5, reveal up to 1 Gurn, its name, add it to your hand, place remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Now you don't have to send anything back, which is why the Searcher is so good. But I do know most splits usually do like a 2-2 split of the C2 that lets you just draw a card, and then of, the Callan here. But really cool to see it. They're going full in on the Callan, wanting to find these Gurren Mach 2s. But one thing is that you got to know when to play this Callan, and if you need a Gawain, then do not play this Searcher because you won't get anything. 4 of the double energy 3-1 drop. Lelouch, 2 of the double energy Callan, which is a little interesting here because I do know that this one is very important for you to be able to keep those double energies, but choosing to max out on the Lelouches here instead of the Callan. I think in my list I do a 3-3 split of these even. Obviously 4 of the Gawain. 2 of the win sideline draw to Lelouch, and then also your opponent has to place some cards in their hand in the sideline. It can't be blocked by 3,500 more BP, which does come up in a lot of games because you can swing out later in the game. Sometimes later in the game, your opponent just has big bodies out, and they're thinking they can get through and block through, but they cannot block this character if they do only have the 4Ks at the late game. That is when this card really, really shines. I know the sideline effect to draw 2 is really cool, but you're really keeping this to have another character that they cannot block, which is really, really important. 3 of the Impact Gurren Mach 2, and they have to block it, which I think is really, really good. And then 4 of the 5 energy 1 action point Impact when played, sideline a character 3,000 or less. I do know that most lists that are running this one out of 4 of tend to run 4 of this Lelouch, so that way you can then answer big bodies on the board regardless. But very interesting splits. I think that this deck is showing where it is consistent enough to not really have to worry about what your actual list is. If you run a bunch of these cards and your triggers are over 45, which this deck is very easy to do with, and they could easily get this up to 48 by going down on the C2, up on a Callan here, and then really just maxing it out. This deck has so many amazing cards to play in it that aren't triggers, and only 3 non-triggers are this C2, which does, I love the art, one of the best arts in the game for sure. I love her outfit here, but you can cheat this to give you the 2 and then raid on top of it with the Gawain, so I do know why people love this card. And the 3-3 split is actually not that bad. I mean, you're just running 10. I just feel like I am in this deck, I would rather see more of the 0 drops. I know that 10 is very normal. I know at the beginning of the video I talked about how I think that this one should be moved up to a 4 of, but regardless, they're still at 10 0 drops, which is very normal. Shout out to this player with the purple 2 AP build here. And we do have another purple Code Chaos list, which I think is a very solid list too, but this is the one that maybe should be the 2-cost one, right? Because they're running 2 of the 4-2 Lelouches, the one that draws 2, and 2 of the 4-2 Lelouches, which you get to make one of your opponent's characters on the front line lose 3,000 BP, which is really, really good. Running 4 of the Callan, like I said, that I think is absolutely essential in the deck, giving that double energy a little more important than the Lelouch, because you want to have this Callan on the back line. She is also active trigger, just like he is, but you need to be at 5 energy, especially if you're going to run a 3-4 split. And everyone is different on these 2 different Goran Mach 2s in their list. Running 3 and 4 of, it seems like most people are running the 3,000 or less kill something body at a 4 of, and the 3 of the one that forces you to block, which is a little bit more relevant since, you know, One Punch Man has come out. The forcing the block isn't as relevant with all these characters that are absolutely so strong in the game. Obviously, 4 of the Gawain, that's never going anywhere. 2 of the lose 1,000 Lelouch. None of the Callan searchers here. So like I said, a lot of people are very divisive on that Callan searcher, and we are seeing here they are not running any of them, choosing just to be at a 2 of the C2, and then maxing out. Like I said, this is kind of like what I like to do too, 4-4-4 split, so you're never missing out on your zeros because you do not want to lose tempo with this game. The best advantage this deck has is that you're able to just keep playing down raid cards, and you miss out big time by not maxing out on the zeros. I am a big believer of that. I know the C2s take your count down, but as long as you're at that 46 spot, I think that the deck is going to stay really, really consistent. And if you haven't tried maxing out on these, I think you should. And then let me know in the comments down below if you do make that change and how it works out for you. They are choosing to run the checkmate. I do think that this is a really good one-of tech in the deck. It does help you get over some big 5k bodies that are a little bit harder to get over on the turns where you've already raided into your mechs and you don't really have a lot of other good plays to do. Well, then now you play down the checkmate. You get that 2,000 BP, and you also get impact +1, which is really, really good. Another good way to close out the game. I do like this out of one-of tech. I don't personally run it in my deck, but I do see why people choose to run this card. It being another trigger and it being an active trigger is really good. But those are the 2 purple Kogias lists that did top first and second place in certain tournaments. Another list that is very cool that I wanted to look on is going to be Megumi. And already here, you see the color trigger Megumi at a 4 of, but none of the other Megumi, which I thought would be, you know, one of the more important Megumis in the deck, but I guess choosing just to stay with this one, not wanting to run another double cost Megumi. The main cards in the deck that are new to these lists, you're obviously running a 4 of the Domain expansion. Running a 4 of the Chimera Shadow Gardens is a little interesting. That seems to be a little greedy, but you do want to see this card at all costs. It is very important in the list. I do think 4 of is the elephant in the room. That is a good name for this. Whoever did top with this, make sure you leave your name down below. I'm sorry, this I didn't know that exburst didn't let you see the name of the creator. I could be a little wrong on that. No, I don't think it tells you at the moment. But Regardless, this is a pretty solid list. I am surprised not to see the new Megumi. I thought that would be really important, but you are tight on space because you do want to run as many Shikigami as you can, and it is obviously running 4 of, I think this is the most important new card that they got, and it is the Max Elephant. If you don't know what this does, it's a 3 energy, 1 action point, 4000 BP, 1 energy generator, which is insane for stat lines. It's a draw trigger in life too, so it keeps your trigger count high, and it says this card generates energy even if it's on the front line, which is absolutely crazy. When play, return 1 other Shikigami Affinity card in your field to your hand. If you cannot, return this card to your hand. So you have to bounce something back, but it combos with the new other card that you get, which is the Rabbit Stampede. Active trigger in life 1000 BP, and it says when this character is returned to your hand from your field, choose up to 1 Shikigami Affinity card in your field and switch it to active. So the thing is you're going to have the Rabbit out on your back line, and then you're going to play the Max Element to your front line, bouncing back the Rabbit, and the Rabbit lets you stand the Max Elephant up. Being able to have a 4K body just like that on your turn is so strong. Obviously got to run a 4 of the dog package, 4 of all your Megumis down the line. And then a 3-3 split of the Nue and the Great Serpent is typically what people do. The Nue not having a trigger is kind of an issue in the deck. And then also with this Megumi, putting it just below 40, but it is close enough to 40 where I do think that you do have to kind of max out on the Divine Dogs because you need them in there for you to be able to get the star of the show, which is the Divine Dog Totality, to get that damage too. But I think the Max Elephant is the biggest addition to the deck. It is so powerful being able to run this card and just have a 4K body that only costs you 3 energy. You can make so many crazy plays. Very interesting. I do think that, 4 Shadow Gardens is a lot, considering it doesn't generate you energy, and you do get it in hand from your life. But this person choosing to max out on it so that way they can absolutely see it being a key part of the deck. Now, I don't need to go over Blue JJK too much either for you guys. I do know that the main thing is this new Yuji is taking over the double action point color trigger Yuji that we used to have. This one says if you have a Sukuna finger on your sideline, this character gains double energy generation. So it is just a better Yuji overall because it doesn't clog your hand up, and it is just a 3 energy, 1 action point, 3500 BP that can be aggressive in the early game if you need it to be, and you run 4 copies of it because it is your color trigger. Very, very important. And then choosing to not run 4 of the old Kento nominees, instead choosing now to add 1 of the new Kento nominees, which can be really, really good. This card is so good. If you don't know what it does, it says when played, choose it at 1 character opponent's front line. It gains this character cannot attack until the start of your next turn. When attacking, place it at 1 card from top of your deck into your sideline. So then you get to fuel your sideline. Then if you have 15 or less cards in your deck, draw up to 1 card, reduce PP of all characters 15 or more on your opponent's front line by 1000 until the end of the turn. Such a very strong effect. You really want to keep this one early or for your hand later, so that way you don't want this one to get sidelined. You want to be able to get this effect later. Play these non-enemies down early because these are the ones that are going to keep you alive, being able to keep one of their characters to active if they are punishing your board. Interesting to see that they are running only 3 of the Yuji, probably because they are choosing to run a max 444 of their 0 drops. I do believe you could probably go down on one of the Nobaras, putting you at 11 zeros to add the Yuji back in here. That's the only recommendation I would make, but I can't ever blame anyone for running 12 0 drops because it does help make your deck so consistent. I do know that a lot of people are very greedy in the game at the moment, running 10. Myself included, a lot of lists I tell people to start at 10. If you feel like you need more, add up from there, but I do believe that 12 is the best way to make your deck super consistent, where you don't have throughout, a 5-round tournament at your locals of you bricking in one of those games and not feeling good. The triggers being at 47, this deck has always had a lot of triggers in it, and it is so awesome to see that for that, because it's just why the decks are so good. The decks that have all the triggers are amazing, and 3 of the Maki Zenin, the only non-trigger card in the deck, but it is so important for you to be able to get value from her. Obviously maxing out on your specials, your finals, and your fingers. Choosing to run the ratio technique collapse, which is definitely just one of the best kill spells in the game. Now this is another list here, and we see that they are choosing to not run any non-enemies. This is just a kid named Finger is the profile they decided to give this one. Now, this list is running 2 shrines. The other one was not. I think now that we have more Sukunas and more Yujis that can help you with the shrine, I think the lists diverge a little bit now, where you do have, strictly kind of non-enemy lists and strictly, build up Sukuna lists. I do think that if you don't want to run this Sukuna in the package, the 7-drop, you don't have to. It just gives you more late game insurance, which is where the deck really fell off some And honestly, in green matchups, right? If the green decks got ahead of you and they were able to push you down and they had those 5k bodies, you didn't have a lot of ways to answer them if you've already used your Yuji raids. So now this Sukuna gives you an outlet to be able to get over those big bodies and have impact, and giving you some agency in the game late game with some of those ramp decks. And I think that this is why you see a lot of the green ramp decks not doing so well now, because now Sukuna has means to where if they don't high roll you and you are able to stay in the game, now they have some way to compete with you in that late game. And I do think that this is the most fleshed out deck in the game, because there's so many different ways that you can build it here. And like I said, everyone is going to replace the old Yuji for this new one. That one costing double energy, you only ran it because you needed that color trigger, and now you can just max out on this new Yuji, which is just absolutely so much better for consistency and letting you get the energies while not having to worry about, you know, costing that double energy. Maxing out 4 of the Yuji and the Sukuna, 2 of the new Yuji, which is a really good one. When play, draw 1, then place from your hand, and then also depending on how many fingers you got, getting value. And like I said, choosing to go 4 on the special final and the fingers. Choosing to run 2 of the Gojo here, which the other list did not have. I do like this Gojo as well. I like the 2 drops that generate you that extra energy. I think it makes it a little more consistent. And then you can see here, choosing to run the Takuma Ino, which is a draw trigger in life in 2000 BP, which gives you some agency earlier in the game outside of the Nanami, which you don't need to run if you don't have the raids. And this one just choosing to be a straight UG package with the Sukunas. I think that this deck is absolutely so strong, and you know, now you have a big answer card in the deck, and this Sukuna adds so much power to the deck. And but even then, I don't think you need to run it if you don't want to. If you want to stay low to the ground with your UGs and Sukunas and Nanamis, you can. And I think now if you do want to even just max out on this card and build a deck just around him, you also can. There's so many different ways to build Blue JGK now, and I think it has made the deck, you know, even more fun and consistent than it used to be, and now it has different ways to get built, which I think does make it feel better for you to play against it. In this next list here, we do have the Goddess deck, a lot of people's favorite deck to play. I think it is still one of the surprise decks from the set, just maxing out 4 of your Lifas, Asanas, and Xenons, which you definitely have to do 4 all the way down the line from all the other characters, which I think is absolutely right too. The only card that is not a 4 of is the Lifa with the Nullify Impact 3500 BP. Because this card, you really only want to throw down when they do give you that option to, you know, be able to wall out one of their impactors. This Asana is so good right here, being able to let you get 2 cards to your hand. This is one of the more important pieces, and it is your color trigger in the deck. And you just always have, you know, these 2 double energy generators on the back line, and it lets you pressure your opponent so much by only needing 2 on your back line and then rushing them down with these lower drops and your raid targets on top of them. These 2, you know, just wanting to be in your back line, the Lisbeth and the Asana. And then you do have your special and final maxed out at 4. This is a great list, very simple list to go off of. The only thing that this deck is missing is, you can see here, both of these, the 0 and 1 drop for the Lifa and the Asana do not have triggers. And then we also do not, who else do we not have a trigger on? Yeah, the Xenon, which is really, really good being able to get sniped. This card is busted. 2 energy, 1 action point, 3000 BP. It is so important. You can place 1 card in your hand to sideline to give it snipe. And this character cannot target characters 2500 BP using snipe till the turn, so it is really, really good. One of the best cards in the deck. This deck, I love it. It's so much fun to play, and if you haven't yet, this is a great list to go off of, being such a streamlined deck list profile. Now, definitely the 2 lists that I want to go over the most, I know this video is getting a little long, but you guys asked for it, and I always have a lot to say, is going to be Todo and Mekamaru. This has been the biggest splash card on the scene. This one's called Clap Clap. If you don't know, clap in the cheeks. Running 12 of the 0 drops is absolutely awesome. I love to see that. 4 of the specials, 4 of the finals, and 3 of the Goodwill event. I only run 2 of this in my deck. It can be a little cloggy, but I do think that this card is so good. Being able to let you get back characters from your sideline, being able to play them back on the board, so that way you always have a target for your amazing raid characters in the Todo and the new Ultimate Mekamaru. I do agree with the Ultimate Mekamaru only being added 3 of, because it is a 6 energy card that you have to play, and so it is a little bit harder to get down. I also teched in 1 Toji for Shiguro. This guy is so strong. 8 energy, 2 action point. The 8 energy in this deck is really, really easy to get, because you can see here we run 4, 8, 9, 10. So maybe not as easy in their list. I think I run a little bit more of this Ultimate Mekamaru mine and down on the 0 drops. But regardless, it's not hard to get to. But he says if the combined total life of your opponent's life is 4 or less, you get to reduce this card's energy by 2 while in your hand. So you really only needed 6. He gets to come out active. He has 5000 BP during your turn. And then when you play him, he gets impact and snipe. So it's honestly like he's a big body kill spell. in your deck, and he is really, really strong, always staying at 5k, but only getting the impact snipe, during that turn it's played. We do have the other new Todo, which is the double energy generator, and this one's really good, being able to let you activate main once per turn, choose up to one Kyoto Jujutsu High Affinity card on the other line from this character, and swap it with this character, which is really, really good, being able to let you have that double energy down, and then play out characters, and then use him to swap, get him back in as active when you no longer need him on the energy line, and now you have another 3500 BP body to swing out through on the board. Now, I do think that, this one of a Miwa, I do like this card a lot too. If you really wanted to, you could go down on this card and then maybe run more mech or one more of the Koichi here, but they are wanting to do a 3-1 split of the color trigger Koichi Muta and one of the Aoi Todo. I did a 2-2 split in my list, and I think I did max out on the Kasumi that they're doing here. But the Miwa is still a really decent card. I just wish that you were not forced to, block with her, which it makes it a little bit interesting, right? But it is a good card. It's another kill spell essentially in the deck, but she does cost you 2. And I think that if she came in active, she would be insane and super strong. But it's just too easy for your opponent to pop her in the current state of the meta because she is only 2000 BP. I think if she had just even been 2500, it would have been a big difference maker in just how strong this character can be. But very solid list. I love seeing this deck do so well. I'm very happy that it's finally getting its time to shine in the game because it's been one of my favorite decks, and Todo is my favorite character for the guys in the anime for Jujutsukaisen. Now, going through a different list here, you can see they're only running one of the Goodwill event, so showing that you do not have to run a ton of copies in this deck depending on how you want to do it and how early you want to, play. The safer you play with this deck, the less copies of Goodwill event you want to be, but the more aggressive you want to be with the deck, then the more copies of Goodwill event you're going to need to run, it letting you get, characters from your sideline played back out, maxing out on the finals and the special triggers, and then they're choosing to run the 6 energy 1 action point Toji. It has no effect, it is a draw trigger in life, but he stays a 5000 BP during your turn and your opponent's turn. He is a really, really good card. I run one of each of the Tojis, the 6 and the 8 drop in my deck. I do think it helps flesh out the deck a little bit better. Obviously 4 of the new Mekamaru and 4 of your Raid Todo. When this guy comes down, him being able to be 6000 BP and swap your opponent's energy line and being able to get the damage too is so strong, and it puts your opponent in a tough spot where they want to block this guy because they don't want to take the damage too, and they are not running any of the memory card, which I do run one of those on my list. I think being able to give your Todos impact makes that play even more powerful. Running 4 of the new Todo, 3 of the 2-drop Miwa, maxing out on the Muta, which is very understandable in this list because they are choosing to max out on the double energy Ultimate Mekamaru, but only running one of the Wind Played Miwa. Very interesting. I do think that card is really good, and the other list is not running any copies of that one, right? So just choosing to only have the 3-drop Miwa in the list is a little interesting because as long as you have Miwa out, your Ultimate Mekamaru gets both of its effects, and you don't have to worry about the number of your Jujutsukaisen characters. So really interesting to see that both people are not prioritizing this Miwa, and maybe I'm just not seeing it. I do love this card. I know it's not a trigger, but it getting played to draw you a card is so good because you can recur it with the Goodwill event to then let you, be able to play it back out and draw another card. It's not draw one, trash one. It's just straight draw a card. I think drawing cards that do not have any negative effect are so good in the game. Maybe in this list, I would go down to the Ultimate Mekamaru to 3 or the Utahime to 3 to be able to add up this Miwa. But obviously, they're doing really well with this deck list here, choosing to run only 11 of the 0 drops, which is awesome. But I think as long as you're at 10, like I said, it's good. Maybe a little greedy, but you can get away with it sometimes. Excited to see both these lists doing so well. I am a huge Todo fan. I've been playing him for a long time, and I knew that he was a good deck. He just needed a little bit more support, which we've seen him get, and it's helped him out a lot. Now, both of the topping lists for Purple Bleach were packages that included the Squad 0 cards in it. And I do think the Squad 0 cards do add a little bit better of a consistent play into a lot of decks outside of the old Bleach deck because these cards have so much value. You have the raid targets. This Ichibi, if you don't know what it does, this is the new color trigger. If you want to run the Squad 0, you have to run this card. When played, look at top 4 cards of your deck, place them at the top of your deck in any order, which is really good, stacking your deck. And then when attacking, select the required energy amount. Then reveal the top card of your deck. If that card has the same selected required energy amount, you may add it to your hand. If you do, place one card from your hand into your removal. If you did not add a card to your hand, place the reveal card on the top of your deck. So So you get to step your deck and then decide how you want to cycle through it. This card is a really good card. It's 4,000 BP, really strong. I think the star of these squad zeros is the Senjumaru, and the altar for this is insane. It's such a strong card. When in play, place any number of squad zero affinity cards from your hand into your removal area. Choose up to one character 25 or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline. For each card placed from your hand into your removal area with this ability, add another 1,000. So it's a good kill spell for the deck, being able to get over these bodies. Running 4 of the new Ichigo that has Nullify Impact and Damage 2, Impact 1, depending on how many squad zeros. And this is the new star of the show. He is so strong, and you get to stay at 4 energy in your deck, which is so easy to do because you just max out on the double energy Ichigo. You don't care that he doesn't have a trigger, and then you max out on the new Oetsu in the deck too. And then maxing out 4 across on all these characters. And since you're not maxing out on the Ichigo raids, then now you only need to run the one Ichigo here that you have, and if you really need to do it, then you can, but he's not the main star of the show anymore, just going to be the squad zero cards in the deck, which is really cool to see. And this site is just really good because this site generates you energy. It only costs 2 energy. You get to play it to active on the field, and it says activate main switch to resting. Look at the top card of your deck. If that card has squad zero affinity, you may reveal it and add it to your hand. Otherwise, place it at the top of your deck or into your sideline. So you get to fill your sideline and get a free card in your hand all the time. It's so good. This card is busted. For sure. You can see only 3 copies in this list here, but I could see that. It's a get trigger. I'd say 2 or 3 of any of the copies like that is good enough to be able to see it. But you can see here, this list is choosing to run 3 copies of the 5 raid Ichigo. 4 of the new one, though, like I said, that one is too good not to run. Only 3 of the Ichibi, I could see that because they are wanting to choose to run one of the color trigger Ichigos and still keep their zero count pretty high. And then down the line here, much of the same, just trying to max out on those Senjumarus. She really is so absolutely amazing for the deck, having another kill spell that is easy for you to do because she goes so well with the Ichigo kill spell, being able to clear people's bodies out as well. Really good to see Purple Bleach doing so well, but awesome to see that it is the squad zero that has been getting the tops and not just the old version of the deck. Now, we do have another Bleach deck on here, and it's going to be the Blue Bleach. And this one, the lists are so generic, and there's not a lot of room for you to switch out anything. You run 4 copies of all your 4 drops. You are just a 3 to 4 energy rush play. The only thing that differs is which characters you decide to run. If you max out on the Ichigos and Rukias and Renjis, or if you're going to run the other characters in it. But I do think 4 straight across, 4 straight down, and the only one that don't max out on is the Zangetsu. And they are only playing the Zangetsu for his name is Zangetsu. Draw 2 cards. When this card is placed in your hand into your sideline ability on a blue Ichigo on your field, you get to draw a card, so you get to just trash something and draw a card, replace it. You do have the Bankais. I do like the Reverse Event Bankai and the Gachu Juzio. Choose one character with 35 or less BP on your opponent's front line. Sideline it. When this card is placed from your hand to your sideline by an ability on blue Ichigo, you may place 1 card from your hand in the bottom of your deck. If you do, Ichigo gets double attack, which is an amazing way to clear off your opponent's board. Blue Bleach is so strong, and you can just throw these 4s in here, max out on 4 of everything, and the deck will play through. The only thing that is contentious is if you do the Zangetsu package or not, or if you do not run the Renjis as opposed to, what's his name? I'm blanking out on it. God, it's so disrespectful. He's such a cool character. I just really can't think about it right now. And then you don't have to shout. This is going to be the Mahito deck. Now, this is just a straight Mahito deck, not choosing to try to do shenanigans with the other old raid, old Ghetto. Now, the triggers are really low in this deck, which does feel really bad. That's always been the issue with the deck. Only running 1 self-embodiment Perfection, which is a really cool card. It is a get trigger, but I do think that this needs to be at 2 of because this card is so important in the deck, and you do need to see it. And you can see here just maxing out on their Mahitos, except the new one, just 3 of the new one, which is fair enough. That one does cost 5 energy, so sometimes you may have a trouble being, at the 5 energy, but the new Hanami, or Hanami does give you the double energy. You do get your double energy from your Mahito color trigger, which you definitely have to max out of 4 of, but the triggers just being so low in this deck, the Dagons not having a trigger, transfer your humans not having to trigger, your Mahito not having a trigger, the Hanami's not having a trigger, the Ghetto's not having a trigger. They did not want this deck to be really consistent because when this deck pops off, it is really oppressive in the way that it can control your opponent's board, and it does make sense depending on, the character. It fits into his profile, but you do need some setup, and I am really kind of surprised to only see the self-embodiment at 1. I do think that you need this one maybe at a 2 to make sure you see it, but they're not valuing it as much as I think that this card really does. If it generated energy, this card would be absolutely busted. But Mahito is really, really good if you're looking for a fun, control-y, make your opponent mad deck. This one definitely would do it. But you also live and die by that because not every game is a lot of fun and you don't always pop off. The last deck we're going to go on here is going to be the Blue Sword Art Online deck, and this is definitely the premier aggro deck in the game. It's the main one that keeps getting tops, and it will consistently do that as long as you're willing to put time into the deck. 43 triggers, which is what we like to see in our decks, obviously maxing out on both of our finals and specials. Maxing out on all of our 3 and up Kirito and Asunas, and the only one that is not maxed out is the 5 drop Kirito, which I do agree on. You only need 3 copies of this in your deck. I would not go down to 1. I think 3 to 2 is really good. 3, make sure that you see it whenever you need it, which is really, really good because this one is not always ideal to be able to get into. And then only 3 of the Asuna down here. That is understandable. This one doesn't have a trigger, but it is really, really important in the deck. And choosing to max out on their 0 drops, which is a great way to keep any of your decks consistent. This deck is not going anywhere. It is really, really consistent, but it is not as easy to play as you think because you do need to think about your plays. And the only cards that are running that are not called Kirito and Asuna is the Yui, which is a great cycle engine for the deck, and the Lisbeth, which is really, really good, keeping your energy up in the deck. And you just want to max out on these names because you have to have, Asuna name cards on your field, so that way you can do all your shenanigans. And this deck is not going anywhere. It is so strong. But that is a review of all the deck profiles from the topping list from the last month. I just did the top 2 going through on the certain tournaments, but I will do more videos like this. I'm going to try to, always wait, 14 to, a whole month before I do the pie charts. I love doing the pie chart video. I know you guys like those too, but this is my first time going through and doing these deck profile reviews. Let me know what else you guys want to see like this. I can go through and do some maybe obscure lists that I saw that maybe got, close to being tops if you guys like something like that. But this was a lot of fun to do, and I do like breaking down these, but I'll have to get a little bit better at just you guys telling me what y'all want to see, and I'll do it. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments down below. I am still very surprised at how good Todo is doing, and I'm very, very happy about it. But leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. Peace.